We're live!
Oh, we're live! Yay! Oh, this is too stressful.
Oh, God.
See it on your videos, though.
I'm not on the videos?
Oh.
Oh, there it is. Yes! Yes! Okay.
I'm alive? We're
So
live!
I can watch us as we're talking. Oh, that's
Yay! Oh, this Google Hangouts thing is just too stressful.
too stressful.
Too stressful. So, yes, we're live. We're here. We're here to talk about the book Room. Nobody's watching yet. Bonus Jonas, but it's YouTube. They can watch whenever they want.
Whenever they want.
Oh, God. Okay, apparently you have to share this link now. I don't like this. Things are happening. Yeah, that's weird. But, you know, Brandy is pretty, so it's all good. Present to everyone. Is that better? It's a really bad thing that we can't go back and edit.
Every stupid thing we say is on here
Pretty
forever.
much. Yeah. This is terrifying.
Oh, God.
Three people are watching this right now. We should probably, like...
Yeah, guys, introduce yourselves. I need
Oh,
to...
wait. Maybe us three.
I don't know how to switch on the chat at all.
Are we all three of us logged in to the show? Because we may be the three people watching.
Yeah, we are the three people watching. Well, Chris is watching because he's, you know, he's in the room watching the train wreck live as it happens.
I just got a text. I have someone watching it, so there is at least one other person watching
Yay!
I
so
can't
awesome.
believe you are setting up for... Oh, dear. Okay. What is happening? I don't know.
We are professionals.
I'm so professional. This is ridiculous. Oh, there we go. Your face is on the screen now. Yay! I'm still confused as to why the Q&A app says that it's not working.
Does yours say it's disabled?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's disabled too.
Anyway, do you guys want to actually introduce yourselves, maybe?
No? Hi!
Just leave it to me?
It's all you. You got this.
Whenever you're
Okay. Okay, so I'm Christy of what Christy's reading.
Hi, I'm Brandy from I Ramble Randomly.
Awesome.
Yeah, great introductions.
Oh my God.
I like long walks in the park.
Sunsets on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
And I read a little bit here and there.
Read occasionally.
Yeah.
So, where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. We will eventually start doing things properly, but this is the first time for all of us, so this is how it's going to be for now. We are going to be talking about this book. So,
I kind of like the UK version. I mean, I get the US version cover is cool, you know, because it's all crayon-y and he's 5, but that's kind of cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like the American cover better, but it's all good. Do not judge a book by its cover, but let's face it, we all do.
We all do. Oh gosh, so much, so much judgment.
All the judgment in the world. Okay. So, what were you guys' initial thoughts about it?
I found this book just broke my heart over and over and over again. Like, each chapter made me more heartbroken and anxious, and I couldn't help but place myself in the position of mom, because I've got small kids. Delaney's only 8, and so it was very easy to see how I would feel in that position.
Mm.
And so yeah, it gave me full on anxiety. I had some points where I was just like, whew, I need to take a break and kind of calm down. But it was written so very well, and I thought that having it from the viewpoint of a 5-year-old was going to be an issue.
Mm.
It's hard to write as a child when you're a grown up, but I think that Donahue did a great job. I mean, a lot of the things that Jack said are things that my kids would have said when they were that age, and so yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that as a mom, this was hard on me to read.
I get that.
I kind of had mixed feelings about the fact that it was written from a child point of view, because everything was so much more horrible because Jack didn't really understand what was going on, but you as a reader understood what was going on.
Mm.
And I found that more disturbing than I think I would have normally.
Yeah, that was tough.
But then there was also the moments where, because it was so true to how a 5-year-old would think, he would kind of go off and be really self-centered, and it's just, I want to know more about what's happening with Ma. Stop talking about Dora. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
We're allowed to talk about spoilers, right, at this point?
I guess so. If you haven't read the book,
If you haven't read the book, then I don't know why you would.
Yeah, why are you
here? That moment when they first escape and they're in the cop car and Mom is holding him and he goes, "Can we go to bed now in room?" And she's like, "No, no." And he does like that. That's safe for him, and it's just horrendous for her. That was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, and yeah, because the horrors that had happened to Ma in the room, but to Jack, it was his whole world. Everything else was what was scary.
Exactly, yeah.
He did a really good job of keeping him from the horrible things happening in the room, so it was the safest place in his eyes, which is horrible in itself.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to see it from the fact of that and it's like, even though we're reading it and we know the outside world and things that happen, it's like everything in the room is normal for Jack.
Right.
So it's like all he wants to do is be in his safe space, and he doesn't like all this stuff that's out there and all the rest of it. So he's just like, I just want to go cuddle up in bed.
And like you mentioned, Brandy, he's 5, and so he's very egocentric. Can only really see how everything's going to affect him, and so throwing the fits when Ma's telling him that they can't do certain things, or when he's out and and can't come back, and him getting really, really, really upset about that happening. And you want to shake him and go, "Don't you understand how terrible it was?" And he can't. He just physically cannot understand that at this point in his life. And then I had a big issue with the newscaster who did the interview with Ma and was like, "Well, why didn't you ever ask old Nick to take Jack so that he could live a regular life. And I'm like, you jerk. How do you ask that question? I mean, no wonder Maud decided that she had to end it all at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a few stronger words for that reporter.
See, I did have a very when that happened, but you can also see it from an outlooker standpoint on the fact of, well, yeah, you were locked up in this room, but why bring another innocent into it? So it's like, I do get it from that stage, but it's just like, seriously, you bitch!
You don't.
well, and that's the thing. Is yes, you can see that she, that Jack would have maybe been better off if she had sent him out, and he could have gotten adopted and not known any of these horrors. However, I don't think that Ma would have lived for
No.
7 years in captivity if she didn't have Jack. Like, that was her anchor to like survival and understanding that there was more to life than just this room, and I think that she was incredibly brave
Yes,
to
definitely. But then
do
you've
what
also
she
got
did.
to think about the fact of that if it wasn't for Jack, she wouldn't be there holding the interview because it
Right,
was
yeah,
Jack that inevitably got them both out of that
right, yeah,
situation.
yeah, because she wouldn't have been able to escape without Jack.
No.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting, the difference between, because the Room of World for Ma was absolutely horrible, and she spent the 7 years she was in there just dreaming of when she was going to get out. But then when she finally got out of Room, life didn't really improve for her too much at all because
No.
everybody had these unrealistic expectations on what Jack should be like, what she should be like, and they couldn't wrap their head around what she was going through and what they were going through. And it was just so many people, you knew that they were meaning well, but they were trying to force things on these people that were so far away from it for so long, and it seemed so unfair and so cruel.
Yeah.
Exactly, and and then Ma also put some unrealistic expectations on the people outside of Room, I think, because she gets upset that her mother and father, moved on, had a funeral for her, assumed that she was dead, changed out, her bedroom had been turned into a gym and that kind of thing, and that was upsetting, knowing that the world moved on without her, and being angry. I mean, no, I don't think that she was so much angry that the world moved on without her, but she was upset and angry at old Nick that she wasn't able to move on as well. And, so her kind of life was kind of stagnant for this long period of time, and everybody else is in a different place when she comes out. I think the movie portrayed that a little bit better than the book, but I still think it's a valid issue.
Yeah. We seem to have glossed over the part of when they were stuck in the room.
Right.
We just kind of went, yeah, and they got out. And everything happened when they got out. No, a lot of crap happened when they were in there too.
Yes, and I found that those first couple of chapters where Jack is just talking about what's going on in Room, those were fascinating to me. To see how they just lived their daily life, and how amazing was Ma to be able to come up with these games and these activities for them to do to keep him occupied and from going crazy and driving her crazy. The amount of recycling that she did of things to turn them into new toys and activities. I mean, the egg snake and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Really, really clever. Especially when you can only ask for something special on Sunday for Sunday treat, and it has to be cheap, and there's a good chance that old Nick isn't gonna give it up anyway. That could be an issue. So I was really impressed with that, and that was one of the reasons why I was so distraught when Jack would throw one of his temper tantrums, which he did often enough in Room, and I would be like, "No, dude, you don't understand how much your mom is doing for you right now, and that she's doing it all on her own." And I mean, I struggle with my kids, and I can't even imagine having to raise them completely on my own without any outside help.
Yeah, that would be terrifying.
Seriously, there's no way. I mean, you survive it. You do what you have to do, but gosh, it would be really hard.
Yeah. Well, especially when because Jack is so self-centered, some of the things that he says to her, because he doesn't understand everything that she's going through for him, like he's really cruel to her sometimes. It's like
Uh-huh.
she's doing her best.
I know, yeah.
But I suppose that comes along with having kids, right?
I have to say, the temper tantrums that he had were very subdued for a 5-year-old.
Well, that's true. I mean, they didn't last for very long, but he did scream an awful lot, and I don't know. I can't even imagine putting myself in that position. And I mean, he's talking about how mom is gone. That one day mom is gone, and he's like, just some days mom is gone. Sometimes she has like one day, let's say even one day a month, where she just can't cope anymore and she just needs to sleep all day. That's amazing. That's all she needs, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I wouldn't be crying every single day and completely losing it.
Exactly.
So
it was such a heart-wrenching book, to be fair. I mean, it's like, I don't have kids, but I'm surrounded by people that do, and there's just no, I couldn't put it in a place where it's like how this affects quite a few people. I mean, me reading it, I have the decompartmentalization kind of thing where I can just be like, yeah, this is a book. But then you have the realization that this shit actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's horrible.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, and then you assume that the bad guy is going to be ultimately bad man. Obvious, nobody would ever not know that he's a bad man. But you can see in both the book and the movie, he was obviously a bad guy because he's kept this woman in a closet for 7 years. But you can see in his brain, this is his partner, and he just, I mean, I don't think he sees himself as a bad guy, and he's obviously portraying himself as an average Joe to everybody else, because he's been living in that house for close to a decade, and his neighbors don't have any idea,
Yeah.
That, I think, is what's most scary. It's one thing to stay away from people who are very obviously creepy and disturbed, but when it's, the person that lives next door could be somebody that would lock a person in their shed for 7 years. That's really upsetting.
But just the the forethought that old Nick had to actually build the room,
right? Yeah,
and have it all set up is damn right freaky. That's terrifying to me.
For reals, yeah.
Well, and just how quick it can happen. Like, she was on her way to school and like went to stop this average or help this average looking guy, and then gone for 7 years.
Well, this is the moral of the story, and we learned this from Room and from Silence of the Lambs. You're obviously not supposed to help guys with vans. because then you end up being abducted. I mean, that's just stay away from people with vans.
Yeah, and unless you can actually see the dog,
Yeah.
stay the hell away.
Yeah. Don't trust anybody with a van.
No.
Yes.
Apologies to everyone who drives a van. But no, it's scary.
Brandy, did you end up watching the movie as well?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
Not yet.
I don't think I've given anything away then.
No.
I'm pretty sure it's not that different.
There's quite a few differences. Not so much the impact on the story though.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, and I don't know if Paula agrees with me, but I actually think that I like the changes that they made in the movie near the end of the movie better than what they did in the book.
Yes.
Like I think they improved upon it and made it a little bit more realistic.
Yeah. And to be fair, it does, with the end of the movie, it does give you more of the warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
Just the simple action of what happened at the end, near the end of the movie, does give you more of the warm fuzzies than when you finish reading the book, because it's a tough slog. Let's be real. Like, let's be truthful there.
Yeah. I did not cry with the book. I did get verklempt a couple of times with the movie. And I'm really impressed with the boy who played Jack. I think he did a fantastic job with a very difficult part.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ma. Ma was amazing as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to look into that because a little bit more warm fuzzies where this book is concerned would be nice.
I don't know if you have it, but right now it's on Amazon Prime, available as a free movie for Amazon Prime subscribers. I don't know if it is in Canada, but it is in the U.S.
I'll have to take a look. My parents went to see it and they were like, "Oh, you have to watch it." It's like, I gotta read the book first. Leave me alone. I know it's really good, so I'm looking forward to actually watching it.
I'm getting really upset at how many movies that I've seen in the past 10 years that I am now learning were books first. I've already seen the movie and that.
I had a thought and then it went away.
Sorry.
It's okay. It happens a lot.
I'm gonna not suggest something, but something that I kind of was thinking about, because we discussed how Room was really horrible for Ma, but for Jack, I'm going to suggest that it might not have been the worst way to grow up. Like, obviously there were horrible things that happened in there, but in Room, he was brought up away from societal expectations and societal norms, and he was brought up to just love himself the way he is and love Ma the way she is without worrying about different ideas and different belief systems and how they would oppress them, really. So then when he got out of Room, he was thrown all of this expectation from all these different places, and he didn't know how to cope with them. I thought that was kind of interesting.
You bring up a really good point, Brandy. Plus, you can see that, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but they say that the first 5 years of development are the most important, especially social development and that kind of thing. And so he only has his Ma as social development. He doesn't even see Nick in real, live in person for a long time. And so you'd think, and I'm sure that Ma was worried about this, screwing him up in this little cavern that they lived in. And he struggles with, as you said, how to deal with a lot of people talking to him and all these different ways that life is lived outside of Room. but you can see there at the end that he adjusts fairly easily, showing how putty-like children can be. You know, that they just kind of learn and adjust and move on. And so I loved that that was added into the book to kind of, yeah. I have no end to that thought. That I'm going to stop.
One of the things I noticed and I thought was kind of interesting was the fact that, like, Jack kind of grew up without, because there's, like, different ideas that society has for boys and girls, and he grew up without any of those gender norms, without any of those ideas placed upon him. So it was even so much so that, because he loved Dora. Dora was his lifeline, and he had this really long hair, so there were the woman stopping them in the mall asking or saying that he was a little girl and blah, blah, blah. And he didn't care. Like, he didn't care that the woman, he didn't understand why the woman thought he was a girl, but he didn't care. He just kind of went. And I think that's kind of one of the, I mean, eventually he kind of settled down, cut his hair, got into the gender norms of society. But I thought that was a really interesting way to be brought up, because you're always thrown these ideas of what you should and shouldn't do and who you should and shouldn't be, but Jack didn't care. Jack was Jack.
Right, exactly, yeah.
That was really cool.
I think that's a lesson that a lot of people need to learn. It's like, you know, stop putting so much stress on yourself. Just be who the hell you are. Be more like Jack, but don't be Jack. Be you.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't seem like people are really watching or asking us questions about things. So
I did have a couple of people mention that they weren't available to watch it, but they were going to tune in after. So.
Okay. I was just going to ask if you guys had any questions to the fact of if you thought of anything to like bounce things off. We all check the notes and go, no. Why did you ask that question? I have to say that it was horrific for me reading it with the when he had to count the creaks.
Oh,
I was reading that cringing so bad.
Very upsetting.
But by the same go on. No.
I was going to say that's a perfect example of how well she kept it to just what a 5-year-old would understand, because he didn't know what those creaks meant. Or what they were connected to. Just knew that when Old Nick came, he creaked the bed a certain amount of time, and then he went to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as an outsider reading this, it's just absolutely horrific to read that, going, I know what they're doing. Oh my God! Ew, 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 ew! Shower.
Yeah, and knowing that she's had to do this every night that he has demanded it, without being able to refuse or complain or not tonight, I've got a headache. That, oh man, I can't even imagine.
Not tonight, I've got a headache. Yeah, because getting a little bit off topic, but as a society, pretty much when it comes to sex, the women hold the power. To be fair. Most of the time, it's just a case of, it's like, if we want it, we're gonna go get it. If we don't want it, we ain't getting it. So just to be constantly on that beck and call is just like, no. And it's just...
Well, and then I wonder, I mean, if she hadn't orchestrated the escape at that point, things would have gotten really bad, because eventually he would have gotten too old to stay in the wardrobe, and how do you explain that? And I feel like what would end up happening is old Nick probably would have disposed of him, and by dispose I mean killed and like buried in the woods somewhere, which would have been that would have ended Ma. So she didn't have a choice in waiting any longer. And I want at the time when she's talking, planning out this escape, and Jack is like, yeah, we're not going to do that tonight, though. I don't want to do that tonight. And she's like, no, we have to do it right now. And a part of me was like, no, you're pushing too much on this little boy. Just give it some time. Let him practice it a little bit more. And then I thought, no, there's not time. You don't have time anymore. They need to deal with this now. And
that was my thoughts exactly. Just the way how urgent it was and how little time she gave Jack to prepare. It was just really stressed out, but I knew, like, as soon as she was explaining to Jack what was going on in his life and what that would eventually lead to, and then you kind of put the pieces together from what had been happening, it's just, it has to be now. Like, it was really stressful, though.
And then also finding out about her previous pregnancy and stuff, pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And having to do that and not having anybody to cry to when you lost that baby. Oh. Can I just say that I was really, really impressed with the police work by the lady police officer that picked him up, being able to figure out, going off of just the information that Jack gave her, because he didn't give her very much. Place. Oh, wow.
I honestly feel that if it wasn't for the police officer talking to Jack and just being like, okay, and like, sticking with Jack, they would have never found Ma at all.
Yeah, because her partner was like, well, we'll just take him into care. We'll just take him into care. He's not going to give you any information. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
That was more relevant in the movie, though.
Well, but he does it in the book.
Yeah.
I do remember him saying a couple of times that she should just give up. And I just thought, oh my goodness, if she had given up, they would have never found Ma. Like, that would have been it. And I think Ma expected that. I think she expected that it wasn't going to work out. I kind of just got that impression.
Such a hard book. I mean,
so many things could have gone wrong.
So, I was talking to Crystal, and she was like, I'm at this stage, and I don't know if I can keep going. And I'm like, just push through, please. Just keep going.
I think that's why I read it so fast. It's like, I just need to get this over with. It's gonna bother me. it's ruining it's ruining my life, really, while I was reading. Yeah. So upsetting.
It was a very harsh read, to be fair.
Well, it's one of those books that it compels you to continue on with it. Like, I couldn't stop if I wanted to. Because when I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about it and was worrying about them, and so I needed to finish. Even if the ending had been like, the worst ending ever, and they all died in a huge fire, it would have. I needed to get that closure.
Yeah.
This is not a book that I could have DNF'd, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, I would have definitely had to read it to its end, but it was hard to read.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that it affected you, Christy, on such a whole different level, because obviously you're a mom.
Yes. I think that I probably wouldn't have been as emotionally tied to it if I hadn't been a mom, or maybe if my kids were a little bit older. But because Jack and Delaney are only three years apart in age, it really and Delaney's she's very similar to Jack in a lot of ways. So yeah, it was just so heart-wrenching to read it, and I just was not able to not put myself in that place of Ma and make what as she's making these decisions. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a book that came out about 5 years ago. It was a book about it was really big in the knitting world. It was about a woman whose 5-year-old daughter dies, and she's dealing with it. She's also a knitter. She redeems herself through knitting, something like that. Anyway, everybody at the knit shop that I go to was reading it, and they were passing it around. And when I heard the premise, I said, I can't read that, because Tatum was 5 at the time. I can't read a book about a 5-year-old daughter who dies when I have a 5-year-old daughter. I can't. I'm too empathetic to be able to get through that. And so yeah, this room would have been worse for me if I'd read it 3 years ago, but it was bad even now. Just I couldn't separate myself completely.
Mm. Brandy, you got anything?
What?
Do you have anything?
This might just be like a little thing that I noticed and might not have thought anything of it, but when I kind of wondered what the importance was of, do you remember when Ma was talking to the reporter lady and they were talking about children, and then she made just the passing comment about like her abortion pre-room? Do you remember that?
Yes.
I always kind of wondered if that had a greater significance to the story. I don't know what it is, but like I always looked at the first like miscarriage she had in room being like loss of like metaphor for like loss of her own childhood, blah blah blah, and then it was buried in the yard with her, so it never actually got to escape, kind of thing. It's always something I thought about, but that one I don't know if it actually had a greater significance, but I wondered what you guys thought about it.
I honestly didn't read that too much into that, because after the whole interview portion, I was just like, God damn, she's a bitch! So I was more annoyed at the interview rather than thinking more about the connotations of what she said on Ma. So it was... I get where you're coming from with that, but by the same token, it made it so even when Ma became pregnant in room, there was no other way that she could have dealt with it, because she couldn't have gone and got an abortion or gone to a doctor's appointment or anything like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I think she always wanted the children that she had in room, she always like wanted to have them. It just, I don't know.
Also, it's the thing of, could you imagine being, I mean, we all like our solitude from time to time. It's like we all just like, we like our downtime. But could you imagine being alone for that length of time and just having nothing, and then just getting violated on an evening?
I totally don't mean this comment to sound flippant, but I cannot imagine being locked in that room with all that solitude time without more than 2 books. Because didn't she only have like 2 or 3 adult books?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's my idea of hell. I mean, it would be one thing if you had access to the reading material that you need. At least then you could fill the time. But yeah, no.
Well, she did have TV, and it did touch on the fact of that before Jack came, all she did was just sit and watch TV.
Well, at that point, what else is she going to do?
Exactly. But it felt like Jack was kind of my saving grace, with the whole thing of like, if it wasn't for Jack, she wouldn't have tried teaching him these things, like getting up, making sure he brushed his teeth properly, because obviously we know that Ma kind of just completely gave up on herself when she got locked in room. She didn't brush her teeth, so that's why she had bad tooth and all the rest of it. And she did the whole exercising and, just taught him things. And if it wasn't for Jack, Ma would have just completely given up.
Yeah. I really think that if it hadn't been for Jack, Mom would have committed suicide.
Oh, definitely.
And I don't know that I could have blamed her for that.
No. Chris texts me saying nobody's mentioning the real life case of Joseph Fritzl that the book's based on.
I don't know anything about it. I didn't realize it was based on a real life story.
Neither did I.
Did not do my background check.
No, we did not research this. We read the book, we went, yes, we're going to talk about it, and that's where we stopped. So yeah, apparently now everyone is just going to go, okay, right, let's go to this, let's find out what this is actually based on. Yes, this could have been.
What's the
name? This would have been helpful information to know about sooner. So I guess I'll let Christy look that up because she's a fast reader.
Yeah, I'm working there.
See? She's already on it. It's like she knows.
Film is... Oh, no. Wait. Okay. Donahue was actually inspired to write her novel by a real-life kidnapping that took place in Austria in 2008. And it's even more disturbing than what happened in Rome. In the case, Elizabeth Fritzl, the girl, was held captive by her own father for 24 years. In 1984, when she was 18, Elizabeth was asked by her father, Joseph Fritzl, to help him carry a door down to their basement. That door was the final piece of a secret prison Joseph had been building for Elizabeth since she was 12. And after she helped him install it, he rendered her unconscious and threw her into the prison. Joseph told Elizabeth's mother and police that the girl had run away to join a cult, and he would periodically force her to write letters saying as much, which he would have postmarked from faraway locations for legitimacy. Over the years, Joseph raped Elizabeth regularly and fathered 7 children with her. 1 child died shortly after being born, 3 lived in the dungeon with Elizabeth, and 3 were taken by Joseph to live with his family in his house. He explained to his wife and social workers that they were Elizabeth's children, and he was able to legally foster them without arousing suspicion. Elizabeth's mother did not know her daughter was being kept prisoner, as she was never allowed in the basement, and the prison was hidden behind several doors with electric locks. Elizabeth finally made it out of her horrible imprisonment in 2008 when her daughter Kirsten, a member of the dungeon, fell unconscious due to a kidney failure. She was brought to the hospital by Joseph, and the hospital staff were very suspicious of her situation and Joseph's story of how the girl came into his possession. Later, Elizabeth convinced Joseph to allow her to see her daughter in the hospital as well, and the police were notified by hospital staff when Elizabeth arrived. It was then that she was finally freed by police along with her children, and Joseph was arrested on a number of charges and sentenced to life behind bars. Holy cow.
See, I remember this story, but I didn't know that it was that she connected the two and she based Room on this story, because the story is terrifying.
Wow. Wow. I'm kind of sick to my stomach right now. Ow.
Okay. Brandy?
No words. It's one of those situations where the real life situation was worse than the book representation.
So much worse.
Oh my god.
I mean, reading the book and not knowing the connection of the two, but reading the book and having the knowledge that this shit happens to people was horrible enough, but to know that it was based on that story is just... I need a minute.
No, that's just... That should not happen in real life. I don't understand that kind of thing happening.
That's just beyond. Ugh. Sorry for this excess noise happening right now. We are currently having a thunderstorm.
Well, that's nice.
It really is. It's so warm. So, yeah. There's rain and noise and stuff. Well, that definitely brought this little live show onto a nice. Sorry. I don't know what to say to try and bring any part of that back.
I'm looking at pictures of the place where Fritzl was kept, and it's a three-room room basically. The bathroom, a kitchen, and a sleeping area. It's messed up.
Okay, you need to close that window and step away from the internet right now.
Seriously. Yeah.
For
Actually,
your sanity alone.
He looks creepy too. Why?
Just
Tell Chris he's on my poo-poo list. I didn't want to look that up.
What?
Because he brought it up. I'm blaming it on him.
Yeah. Bad Christopher.
Actually, I have to step away now. I have to go back to packing.
And that's very uplifting for you right now, to be fair. Yeah. It's a tedious job. You're like, I'm going to happily go do it after that conversation. I'm so sorry I made you read that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
You know I love you, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
No.
Alright, do we have any other things to say on the book room before we say what our next month's book club read is going to be?
I don't, except for that I am looking forward to reading some more of Emma Donoghue. I hadn't heard of her before, and I'm really impressed. And I see on the inside cover of my copy of Room that she's written a couple of things. Like, where did it go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. I don't know if they're full books or just stories or.
See, I don't have anything on that exciting online now.
I have a picture.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really on the inside. It's like the page before the title page. Also by Emma Donoghue.
You have a fancy copy.
Right there.
Oh, I do have also by Emma Donoghue.
Oh my god. No, it's just, once again, it's just the English person that doesn't have I lied there. I lied to you people. See, I don't know. I mean, I definitely feel like I have to vet other works by Emma Donoghue, because I don't mind real life kind of things, but I don't necessarily need them to be that dark of a topic.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll read all of it, but I want to check some of it out.
Mhm.
But let's talk, before I go, let's talk about the new book next month.
The new book?
September.
Yes, September's book is The Savage Song by V.
Oh, your cover's pretty too.
See, Christy hasn't seen the English paperback.
I haven't. Oh, I like that.
It is very pretty, and it wraps around.
Very pretty.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm a lot more excited to read this than I was to read Room. I mean, I really wanted to read Room, and Room only came up on my radar because of the movie trailer release. To be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was the same way.
But I'm excited to be reading another V.E. Schwab novel, because I love her.
And this will be my first V.E. Schwab book.
Seriously?
Yeah, I know.
The first for you guys? Why have we not had this conversation before? Why have I not made you? Why?
But I did keep out Vicious. That's one of the books that didn't get packed, so
Good.
I do
Read
expect to read it in September.
it. You have to read it.
I do, yes. So anyway, okay. Well, I'm getting messages from my family saying you need to help us. So I
Okay.
have to go and finish packing.
Well, you go finish packing. We'll wrap it up.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. I'll see you. Bye.
Bye.
It may take me a minute to log out. Hang on. I gotta do it. Okay, there it is. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Oh, the technical difficulties of Google Hangouts.
We got to figure it out, though. It's
Yeah,
fine.
Eventually.
We're okay.
Eventually. I think like the first half of the live show, you just see my face going. Yeah.
We'll just think next time it'll be way easier.
You'd think that, wouldn't you?
Well, gotta be optimistic, right?
Hang on. Chris was just saying something to me, and you can hold that thought because I'm busy talking to you now. So we don't have a plan for when the live show will be happening because obviously people's schedules are all over the place. Christy is moving from California to Colorado, I want to say. So she may have to miss the live show, but obviously she needs to get a life in order.
That's important.
So obviously it might just be me and you, Brandy.
Okay.
I'm sure she'll message me things that she wants to say or anything like that. And we will be reading the Savage Song from now until whenever. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Good talk.
Good talk. Go team! Okay, so you want to say bye?
Yeah, I think I need to go watch the movie because now I need the warm fuzzies where this book is concerned way more than I did before.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so that was our room discussion.
Thanks for everybody.
And thank you for putting up with it. Because, oh dear God, at least the first half was terrible. Sorry about that.
Well, just optimism says it'll only go up from here. So
yeah, there's only one way it can go. Okay, so thanks for everyone that watched or joined in, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.